Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you listening here on the EKN Radio Network are, of course, maybe tuning into one of our podcasts through iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, whatever it may, Google Play. My name's Rob Howden, and I'm proud to say, or happy to say, that maybe it's a better term, we're back with an EKN Debrief because David Cole was finally able to get to a racetrack after 4 months. Back in early March, mid-March, he was at the Superkarts USA Winter Nationals. Of course, like so many events mid-March, getting shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic when it kind of arrived here in a big way in North America. But we're back. It's a debrief, episode 65, our 65th debrief. It is Wednesday, July the 22nd, and David's going to give us a full review of the opening round of the United States Pro Kart Series at Newcastle Motorsports Park, the Hoosier State Grand Prix. This week's show is presented by Acceleration Kart Racing, where they have everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from, and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of karting under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on track. You can rely on them to get the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. The website, www.shopakr.com. ShopAKR.com for Acceleration Kart Racing. All right, David Cole, this is going to be one of these easy podcasts for me. I'll ask questions because you're going to be doing the heavy lifting. You were trackside at the USPKS opener, the Hoosier State Grand Prix, July 16th to 19th. Dude, you got to go back to the racetrack. Feels good, doesn't it?
Well, look, it sounds like you need a little assistance there. You've been stumbling and you haven't been on the mic in over a week. So
I haven't been on the mic, and honestly, it's 9:37 here on the West Coast. You're East Coast. I'm West Coast, out in the RV in California. I'm having my first coffee right now.
Well, then I guess it's your fault. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll take it.
Yes,
I'll take it.
Good to be back trackside. It was a little surreal being trackside again. I was pretty amped up because I didn't get there till Friday about noon. So everybody's on track. You know, it's paddock is full because it's a record-breaking event at the Newcastle Motorsports Park, and I was just completely amped up all day Friday.
Dude, you jumped on the Instagram feed. You had your face on the Instagram story.
Yeah, man, just one time. Yeah,
look at this guy.
I mean, well, yeah, I wanted to make sure people saw the smile because most of the time I was, especially at the podium, I was wearing masks or inside the building wearing masks. So, but again, it was surreal because it was great to be tracked, but it was so difficult because, again, social distancing. Yeah. I didn't go in a lot of tents. I stayed outside tents and talked to people that way. And so, yeah, it was just, so at least it was just good to be at the racetrack, hearing karts going around a racetrack, smelling the fumes, watching these races unfold and the close finishes at the checkered flag. It was exactly what the soul needed after 4 months of being away from it.
And let's be real, David, you get down and dirty. It's because, you're not just posting to the social media, of course, Facebook, Twitter, all the stuff that we do. You're doing the Instagram story. You did a lot of stuff on Instagram, but you're taking pictures as well, dude. You got your corners at Newcastle that you're comfortable with. You're like, when you're shooting, you're within 20 feet of these karts, rocking and rolling through some of these corners.
I was filthy because Saturday I got back to the hotel, and mind you, the hotels now they aren't doing the customary service between nights. So essentially, I had the towels I had, and Saturday when I cleaned my legs, they were pretty gross and dirty because again, the weather was hot and sunny all weekend, especially Friday and Saturday. And Saturday it really peaked at the feels like almost got up to feels like 100 degrees, but it was getting close to there. So it was dirty. I didn't get my hands dirty because I never touched a kart. Thankfully, nobody spun out or crashed near me. And those that did took care of themselves. So I didn't have to go into corner worker mode at all during the weekend, but we did see some flips. We posted one yesterday on Instagram and Facebook. So there were a few flips there. But nothing really major to bring out a red flag. Logan Toke did go over in one of the junior classes and transported to the hospital, but he was able to get off the racetrack before a red flag was waved. So He was transported but checked out okay, just precautionary with neck and back pain. So everything checked out after checking with them yesterday. But again, the weather hot.
Times 3. Yeah, it's
Well, thankfully
it's July.
Thankfully on Sunday, and again, it had a major factor in how the day ended because we had rain come through the area Sunday. As soon as lunch hit, the clouds started to roll in. We felt a couple drops here and there once the main event started, but really it came down when the X30 Master Group was on track. We had a couple drops during the X30 Junior race, which kind of sent them going a little bit crazy in the corners here and there. So that was kind of fun to watch, but it was only one lap and then it stopped. And then they kind of resumed their standard race on the dry tires once the track dried out, because it was just so hot. Once that little bit of rain didn't really affect it except for that one lap. So
yeah,
quite weird, but lightning in the area did delay things. So we were kind of on a delay for about an hour as we waited for the storms to pass. And thankfully we were able to get back racing and to finish up the last 2 races.
So opening round of the USPCast, Newcastle Motorsports Park, a 6-round, 3-weekend series. All 6 events count. David, I think one of the things we talked about in our Outlet podcast when we kind of previewed the race was the fact that the just staggering number of drivers there, or entries. Let's say there was, I think you said at one point 200 drivers, but 223 entries, a number of drivers doing double duty. But the bottom line, entries last year, 181. This year, 223. That is 42 new drivers, almost essentially, I want to say very close to 25% growth, which is unbelievable.
Actually, it's 218. I had a typo there. So that was what was on the pre-entry list, because they had some cancellations and this and that. But 218 was the official number that I
recorded. It's a little less than 42 then. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But across the board, only one category ended up with less drivers than last year.
Yeah, right? And it was by one number with the X30 Masters. They actually had 20 entered by the time Friday began, but one was a no-show, and so they dropped down to 19 there. And along with KA 100 Senior, which had 53 going into the weekend, it dropped down to 50. So essentially 50 karts were on track all weekend long in the KA 100 Senior category.
Yeah, big numbers for sure. 18 in Micro Swift, 31 in Mini, 32 in X30 Junior, 42 in X30 Pro, 19, as David mentioned, in X30 Masters, down just 1, up 3 in KA100 Junior from 23 to 26 this year. And as David said, a massive field in KA100 Senior, 50 drivers in that category. David, you look at that, that's, even in the 18 and 19s, those are still big classes. You know what I mean? If we look at in the history of stuff, but when you're talking about 42 in X30 Pro, 50 in KA100 Senior, I love seeing both categories strong. I don't like seeing people, kind of conversation about people moving potentially from X30 to the KA. I love seeing them both strong.
No, you're going to have your top guns in the X30 Pro category. You have some that were doing both. You talk about the Brandon Lemkes, Arias Dumejian, Alex Bertignoli, drivers, Matthew Maccabee, drivers like that were doing both. But really, the KA 100 Junior or Senior category had a lot of drivers that have been on board since the KA 100 program started. So because we know back to 2017 when the engine category came in, USPCast was the first to do it. So it's steadily had a group of drivers that have been following it, not only at the USPCast level, but now as we see on the regional and club level, where it's really growing and growing. So a lot of that is just drivers who they know they're not going to be fast in X30 Pro, so they're racing the KA 100 Senior. A lot of them are still senior rookies, such as a Nicholas Strzelecki or others that have moved up from the junior ranks to senior. So it's a great mix, because there was a lot of karts out on that racetrack with 50 karts, and there was a lot of racing packs going on. You had obviously your lead pack, and then a couple other packs after that, and then another pack after that. So a lot of pack racing going on.
Folks, lots to get through in this particular edition of EKN Debrief. As I said off the top, episode 65. We're talking about the U.S. PKS opener, the Hoosier State Grand Prix from Newcastle Motorsports Park. After this break, we're going to jump into the paddock pass. David's going to give us some of the insight that he was able to get, not going into tents, but standing outside of tents. So, folks, stay with us. We'll be back. Experience and passion. That's what led to the launch of AMAX Racing. Owner Charles Maxwell began AMAX Racing in 2015, expanding the operation in 2019 with a focus on driver development for drivers of all age groups and backgrounds. From top-level drivers to grassroots racers or families looking for a team that will help them achieve their goals, AMAX Racing can guide you with the absolute best trackside service at affordable prices. No matter the chassis, AMAX Racing welcomes you and has the experience to put you on the top of the podium. You can join the AMAX Racing family at the WK Manufacturers Cup Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, and local events around the Indianapolis area. The operation is also set to compete at the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals later this season. For more information, contact them at 317-437-5886 or find them on Facebook. AMAX Racing, all of your karting needs under one tent. Top-level production with a focus on a single form of motorsports, karting. This is MG Tires. MG Tires USA, underneath the Vantage Karting Group banner, is the official distributor of the MG Tires brand for the United States. MG Tires are the official spec tire in the United States Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. The 2020 season brings a new homologation period, featuring new names for the same superior products. Whether it's the medium SH Red, the soft SM Yellow, the super soft green SS, or the intermediate white IZ, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. Indoor and outdoor rental facilities can now trust MG Tires with their solution for long-lasting and the best performance, with 3 different compounds available through the RL line. For more info about MG Tires USA and its extensive list of dealers near you, check out their website at mgtiresusa.com. MG Tires, for the drivers. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 65 of the EKN Debrief. So good to get back to talking about racing. We talked about that when we had our Outlet podcast last week to preview the US PKS event. Now we're actually talking about an event. David, give us the review. Into the paddock pass now, David, this time presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. All right, David Cole, you had a chance, of course, to work the paddock a little bit. I know that you were being smart with social distancing. You had the mask on, doing even social distancing inside the announcer's booth up in the champions room. What did you pick up? What were some of the cool, maybe cool notes you can pick up from the paddock?
Yeah, the champions room. That was the best way we could do it. I mean, obviously, we've been up there for a number of years now, but
Yep.
Typically we're kind of all huddled around next to each other, so we don't have to scream and yell. But we had Allie at one corner, we had Tim at the other corner. I kind of was in the middle, and nobody ever goes up there, so it was just us 3, and we had plenty of space to keep ourselves distant. But it was still fun, and we had our trio back together and having a good time up there, having fun and getting to watch the racing while obviously doing the job that we needed to do. Tim doing like 80 different jobs at one time. You never know. Announcer, track, surveyor, and
Yep.
series coordinator, and almost trophy girl. Yeah.
I heard a couple of Blocky McBlockersons and a couple of Argy Bargies too. We had a couple of those.
Well, you're going to get that at Newcastle, as obviously there's a lot of defensive driving on that last lap as you're trying to position yourself for the win. So yeah, a lot of unique. He did pull out a couple Carol Baskin comment.
Really? I missed the Carol Baskins when I was listening.
They're a little just so subtle, nothing too outlandish, but yeah, he's got some new material that he's working on.
That might need to be a thing that Tim and I do at every race this year. You got to slip a Carol Baskin in sometime.
Yeah. So he worked on it. It was good. He waited for the Masters. So I think
that makes sense.
I think when you're in the Masters category, anything goes. You can scream and yell at them all you want. I mean, they don't care.
Nah, they got thick skin. They'll be all right. Yeah. All right. What else you got for us?
So again, it was just, cool to be trackside again, but really to just be part of what was the largest turnout in the 8-year history of the program now with, as we said, 218 entries and over 200 drivers, because again, I want to say there were 16 drivers doing double duty. So a solid number for not only coming back from the COVID, but just the growth of the program that we've seen over the last couple of years. It kind of had a static, not say downward spiral, but just kind of a static number there when we were dealing with, the transition of Yamaha to KA and so situations like that. But now it's certainly got the momentum of growing, because we now have seen a number of teams making their first starts at the program. We saw Rollison Performance Group there for the first time, Crosslink Competition, the Team Speed Sports with Alan Rudolph Racing Academy was there as well. So, those teams are bringing in multiple entries and drivers. And then you add in just all the other new people, like new micro Swift drivers, new mini Swift drivers, other new drivers coming in. It just helps increases that number over and over again.
Numbers breed numbers, right, Dave?
It does. And, the format continues to be a high selling point. And exactly what you're getting when you go to the USPKS event. Even the new teams and drivers that were there were asking questions, and they got them answered right away, and everything seemed to flow well. There was no issues that I saw on track or off track. Everybody seemed to be having a good time, as much as I could tell from not being in the paddock as much as I could have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, the 3 weekend events is really the great selling point, I think, for the program. And then again, the tech and officials that oversee the program.
That's awesome. I think one of the big things too, David, I know you mentioned this to me when you were there, was the tire adjustment for X30 Junior as well.
Yeah, the X30 Junior has moved to the harder MG compound, the SH Red. They were typically still on the yellows, similar to what the X30 Pro was using over the last, what they have used over since the beginning of the series. But 2020 was a transition to the red tire for the X30 Junior. So they're on the same tire that Mini, Micro, and all the KA100 categories are on. So X30 Pro and X30 Master were the only two categories that were on the SM yellow tire. So, and again, it's a homologation year. So these are different compounds than what everybody was used to in the previous year. So it was interesting to hear about, how teams were addressing the different tires and how the track conditions changed, because I talked to people, you couldn't really tell there was rubber down, but people were saying it was rubber down. So it seems to do more of a marble rather than doing that type of layer, slamming the rubber down and gooping up, that what we're used to seeing in the past. So, but they said, certain drivers said it would marble. So the handling conditions are a little bit different than the old compound. But so people are still working, obviously with the 4-month time period. Club tracks that use MG tires, they're starting to get used to it. But events such as this, it's our first major event really since the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, folks, little inside information from David Cole there as part of our Paddock Pass, brought to you again by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Let's jump into a next break. When we get back, time to start talking about racing. David's going to give us the reviews of X30 Pro and X30 Junior. The race report up next. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has the unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and the new for 2020 in the US, the Red Speed and the EOS, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and the SCUSA Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, and the United States Pro Kart Series and the WK Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS, visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK directly. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 65 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole giving us his review from being trackside at the USPKS opener, the Hoosier State Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Time to jump into the race report. And folks, I got the notes in front of me here. We got like 3 or 4 pages. There's lots to talk about here right now. David will break everything down for us. The race report in this particular edition of the Debrief brought to you by Atlanta Motorsports Park. In Las Vegas this past November, at the Rock the Rio finale in the SCUSA Super Nationals, Formula K reigned supreme, winning the headline shifter kart main events. Atlanta Motorsports Park is the North American importer and distributor for the Formula K and Praga chassis, and they have 2020 karts in stock to support new dealers. AMP also has previous year models in inventory available for racers who want a winning chassis at a discounted price of up to 40% off. Contact them directly for pricing and head to atlantamotorsportspark.com/karting to learn more about Formula K, Praga, and AMP's karting program. All right, David, before we get to the next break, we got a lot to talk about. You're setting things up with X30 Pro and X30 Junior. Pretty interesting weekend for the Will Power kart in X30 Pro.
Headlines. This is what I'm going to add this to the debriefs this year. Something a little cool, just to kind of start the topic off. The headline for this category: Will Power. Oh, you're gonna.
I got to come up with something big for it. The headline.
Well, maybe I'll edit in some music, or a little intro. But
an intro. The headline, David. What's the headline?
Well, maybe you could say the headline since you have that charisma.
Okay, I'll do it, and you talk.
Done.
The headline for X30 Pro: Will Power Kart sweeps main event. R. Scott leaves rich.
Will Power Kart winning both main events on the weekend, which was kind of a bit of a shock, meaning only there were a few karts in there compared to all the OTKs, Kart Republics, all the other Merlins, all the other different brands in there, because there was only 2 drivers driving the Will Power Kart in the category. One of them being Arias Zumegian, the former SCUSA Pro Tour champion, was able to claim victory on Saturday. It was an interesting battle all day long. We saw 3-time series champion Brandon Jarzakrak set the tone with qualifying and an amazing pre-final win where literally all 6 carts were within 0.3 of a second at the line at the pre-final. So we knew the final was going to be a bit interesting. Ended up being essentially a 4-driver battle for the lead. Jarzakrak was up there along with Dukmejian and Ryan Norberg, and then Paulie Massimito came charging up as well too. Paulie really seemed to be one of the quickest drivers all weekend long. Just wasn't able to transition that into a victory, but we'll get more on that a little bit later. But again, a great 4-driver battle for the victory with Dukmejian able to grab the lead at the white flag and hold it on to the line, winning by 28 thousandths of a second over Jarzakrak. Massimino third, Norberg settling in fourth, with Phil R. Scott driving his way up to fifth.
Dave, just a quick question: where did they have the start finish line? Was it on the straightaway, or was it after that last 90 degree?
No, on the straightaway still. Yeah,
okay.
Everything. Nothing's ever changed. It hasn't changed from that point, I don't think, in years. So it would be great to go back to the old school ways. But
I know you like that. I know you like that corner, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But again, a lot of these finishes were within 0.1 of a second at the line. So people do like that. It's a little frustrating because we can't see the dramatic at the I-70 corner.
Big field, as we said. We're going to go back. We said 42 and X30 Pro. Newcastle's a kind of a track that sets up for people if they have trouble to come forward. The races are long. USPKS races are pretty long, and the track has so many overtaking opportunities. Did anybody stand out for you coming from the back?
I forgot the lap total. I believe it was 18 laps was the total there for the X30 Pro. They were obviously one of the longer ones, and then
we went over that in the outlap, right?
Yeah, X30 Junior was also 18. All the other regular categories were 16, with micro and mini going 14. So again, even for a micro and mini, that's a 15-minute race. The pros are going about 20 minutes, and along with the X30 Junior. So so it tends to allow the opportunity for somebody to start in the back, and especially with the way the track flows and multiple passing opportunities, allows drivers that start in the back to move forward. One of those being Zach Hollingshead, the last year's vice champion, who moved over to Speeds Concepts Racing on the Red Speed this year, moved up 33 spots in the final from 40th to 7th, earning the hard charger for the race.
Wow, that's big.
It is. It's big. So we move over into Sunday again. Different day, new round. Different strategies, different setups, knowing what you learned on Saturday, and no surprise that 4-time SCUSA Pro Tour champion Ryan Norberg was the quickest out in qualifying. But again, the field was so tight, a lot of tight racing in the pre-final allowed senior rookie and Rollison Performance Group teammate Bryson Morris to earn the pre-final win as we headed into the lunch break. We talked about the weather. X30 Pro was the last class in the order, so they were on the track with a wet track. Everybody moved to rain tires. There's a little bit of a debate on what to do as everybody waited to grid with 2 minutes left to go with the race ahead of them. Everybody rolled onto the grid with rain tires. One driver did try dries, was not successful, and pulled off after one lap. So
really?
Yeah,
it was.
It wasn't raining. It wasn't raining, but the track was still really damp, still really wet. And I think by the time the end of the X30 Pro race, it might have been an opportunity to gamble at that point, because lap times were starting to go quicker and quicker and quicker as the race unfolded. But in the main event, and I didn't even think about it until I saw him charging up through the field. You got a little music there.
Yeah, it was my one of my alarms.
You should have done that for our the headline.
That should have been the headline. I'm gonna have to put that together. Put the phone right into the mic. We'll do that.
So it was no surprise to see Phil R. Scott charging his way through the field. Started, I believe, 9th, and just knifed his way. The Rainmeister from the Pacific Northwest, now living in North Carolina. A lot of people don't know Phil R. Scott, but the guy knows how to drive in the rain and just knifed his way forward. Massimino had a really impressive jumped out to the start after starting third, or jumped out to the lead after starting third, led up until the point that R. Scott got to him. And then once R. Scott got by, they ran nose to tail, but Massimino was just not able to make an attempt on a pass. Thus, R. Scott drove away, scoring the victory, his first major victory since, I believe, 2014, since he was at Challenge of the Americas. So it's been a while since we've seen R. Scott on top of the podium at a major event like this. So Massimino ended up finishing second. Bryson Morris was able to sling work past Jarzakrak for third. Norberg was right there as well, but he got shuffled back to sixth as Edward Ports was able to charge forward and steal the fifth spot there in the on the last lap there.
So what about hard charger for that particular race? Who came from the back?
Hard charger Matthew Dunkovich had a DNF in the pre-final, got some contact in cell tower corner, came up 20 spots, started 37th up to 17th. So a good run for him in the shortened, I believe, 16 lap race because of the rain.
So big thing about USBKS, David, lots of money up for grabs, $5,000 to win the weekend, which is just fantastic for this program. Now, I stand back and kind of, okay, where did people finish? Phil R. Scott was fifth in opening race. He won the second race. Massimino, a couple of podiums, third and second. How did it all shake down? Who took home the big money? After we talked about the fact that R. Scott left Rich in the headline. Who else took $5,000 for R. Scott? Who else took big money home?
$5,000. And again, this is different than what we're used to. That's the problem with going to all these different programs. They award the money differently. I was under the assumption that they did weekend point totals. They don't do that.
Oh, okay. What is it?
They do it based on the finals. So just on what the points you score in the final on Saturday, the points you score on the final on Sunday.
So not pre-final and stuff like that.
So pre-final, qualifying, all that doesn't matter because Jarzakrak is actually leaving as the point leader, but ends up second overall in the point total for the finals and the money total.
He'll have a conversation about that. When did it change this?
Well, again, they did it last year. I go to all these different programs. It's different everywhere we go, counting how many points they're in this, and that. I was under the assumption it was weekend total. So he misses out on $2,500, but he leaves as a championship leader. So I think in the long run, that might end up being the way he goes. Because who knows what R. Scott is doing? I believe he's going to be third or second in the points. Massimino ended up finishing third in the money with $1,250. Norberg fourth, $750. Dukmejian with $500. So, we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds championship wise. And, $2,500 is not a bad payday as well.
No, it's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty big still for second place. All right, let's make our move to X30 Junior and the headline. Zilich doubles up in two wild performances. David, fill us in.
Saturday was a 0 to hero performance for Zilich.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up cracking his frame during warm-up, or noticing that the frame was cracked after warm-up, was unable to make a lap in qualifying, thus started towards the back, worked his way all the way up from 32nd to 9th in the pre-final. And then once he got, a sniff of the leaders there up front, was able to just kind of knife his way forward. What really transpired and what made it even more wild was the drivers racing each other in the lead group, allowing Zilich to just essentially drive by as there was contact in one corner, contact in another corner, basically opening up the floodgates for Zilich to just go up and take the lead right away and then drive away to nearly a 3-second margin of victory over the field. Because again, contact took two drivers off here, two drivers out there, thus allowing him to drive away.
Fill us in on the remainder of the top five there, and then we'll jump into the hard charger as well. So who capped the top five?
Yeah, so the contact shuffled up the field. Alex Stanfield was able to take advantage as well. He slipped up into the second and ran there comfortably till the checkered flag. Josh Pearson was the top qualifier and pre-final winner. He got shuffled up in some of the contact, but he was able to work his way back up into the third spot to land on the podium. Thomas Annunziata was fourth in the race, with Justin Adakonis in fifth spot. I think I said the name right. Adakonis.
Good for you. I'm sure you'll work on it. If he's going to be in the top 5 like that in that field, you're going to be talking about him more throughout the year. You'll get it down pat. Looking at your notes, David, Elliott Cox, hard charger, 17 spot improvement.
Yeah, moving up from 31st to 14th. So again, we talked about how easy it is to move up through the field at Newcastle in these main events.
Cool to see Josh Pearson coming back. Of course, Josh was with us at Road America, now running in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship with Exclusive Autosport. Also ran the June Sprints, the SCCA June Sprints at Road America and F1600. So Josh doing a great job, and again, strong on Saturday. How'd things go on Sunday? It looks like Jack Jeffers actually the top driver in qualifying.
Yeah, Jeffers was able to sneak out with a quick lap. And really, the Speed Concept Racing drivers looked to be in control on the day, except for Zillage winning the pre-final. But again, it was a really close finish there. The Speed Concept drivers were out front after some early shuffling in the main event. But I talked about the rain hitting the area. And in that X30 Junior main event, for one lap, the rain came down for just enough to kind of make the track damp enough to where karts were sliding off the track. And obviously, the rain line was the key way around the racetrack. And so it caught some of these drivers off guard because it's a little bit wetter in some areas of the track than others, being the 1 mile race circuit. So the Speed Concept drivers kind of shuffled around, got moved around, and Zillage actually was quick on those wet laps and was able to kind of move his way up through the drivers and again put himself up into the lead. And then from there, able to hold off charging Josh Pearson, who was really one of the quick drivers all weekend long. But at the line, Connor Zillage scored the victory by 15 thousandths of a second over Pearson.
Nice. And, of course, scoring the big money as well. As per your notes here, Pearson finishing second, Paul Bocuse on the red speed up to third, Max Opolsky in fourth, and Jace Park also on the red speed, capping off the top 5. David, I talked about Pearson. I didn't mention coming off a pretty big wreck at the very end of the race as well at Road America. Went straight off at the end of turn 1, straight off with the brake issue into the tires. Was in the medical center at one point. To see him be able to come out of the medical center fine, which was a huge thing, collective sigh of relief in the paddock, then come back and do what he did on Saturday. And then he actually had to work his way from the back. You've got him down as the hard charger as well in the race on Sunday.
Yeah, an issue in the pre-final pushed him back deeper into the field. And again, the rain, again, that kind of helped him because some of the drivers were going off track, so allowed him to gain some spots there as he was quick in the wet on dry tires, and then again quick when the track dried out again. Again, Pearson, one of the quick drivers all weekend long. He ended up finishing second in the money behind Zillage. Zillage taking home the $2,500 paycheck. Pearson taking home $1,500. Alex Stanfield in third with $750, and then Justin Adaconis with $500 in fourth.
I like how you take your time on Adaconis. I'd like to know if that's correct. We have to figure it out. We'll get that dialed in.
Well,
Adaconis?
I say Adaconis? How it's spelled, right?
Yeah, you always do. You always do, David.
I know.
Tremendous.
Skyuto.
We still say Alan Skyuto. That way we spell it correctly all the time, right? Like, where was that race? Phoenix. I never want to spell Phoenix. I think I spelled Phoenix wrong once when I was working for National Kart News, and I was so mad. So now it's Phoenix. I always say Phoenix.
Faux show.
Anyway, solid run, as David said when we talked about the headline there for Connor Zillage. Couple of wins, point lead, $2,500. Big money up for grabs in the USPKS this year. All right, jumping into another break, and we'll be back. On the other side of this little break, we'll have KA100 Senior, KA100 Junior, and X30 Masters. You're listening to Rob Howden and David Cole here on the EKN Radio Network.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's resume. The Nitro Kart has made its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. The 2020 Nitro Cadet is even better. The kart features magnesium front and rear hubs, a floating sprocket hub, and a roller bearing steering column support with toe lock. The Nitro Kart Cadet is completed with Mini Dynamica bodywork and Max Pappas's MPI steering wheel. If you want to win in Cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join our team.
I am Nitro Kart Mini driver and national champion Spencer Conrad. We just got our 2020 Cadet chassis just before Daytona this year, and I really like it a lot. I got my first victory with it in just the second time on track. I really like the MPI wheel and the new brake system. Plus, the bodywork is really cool. Come join the winningest cadet team on the market, Team Nitro. Race one or chase one.
Nitro Car! Race one or chase one!
Looking for that extra edge? Comet Racing Engines is your answer. The engine service program from Comet Kart Sales has been winning from coast to coast at all levels and different forms of the sport. Lead engine builders Mark Harrison and Gary Lawson have decades of karting experience, providing racers the power to reach the top step of the podium. Comet Racing Engines continually perform track and dyno tests to provide their customers with the cutting edge in engine performance. Comet specializes in Yamaha KT100, IAME Swift, IAME X30, IAME Leopard, and Rock engines. Trackside and customer support are the cornerstones of the Comet Racing Engines business, ensuring each and every customer receives personal attention and the help they need to achieve the best results. Engine rentals are available at all the events that Comet attends in 2018, including WKA, SCUSA, USPKS, and the Route 66 Sprint Series. Contact the Comet team today at cometkartsales.com or by calling 317-462-3413. If you're looking to step up your engine program, send it to Comet Racing Engines. Welcome back to episode 65 of the EKN Debrief. It's Wednesday, July the 22nd. David Cole giving us his full podcast report from the opening round of the USPKS at Newcastle Motorsports Park. The race report today brought to you by Atlanta Motorsports Park. David, let's go into KA100 Senior. 50 drivers. The headline, Young Guns shine in 50 driver field.
Yeah, when you start with young guns, you start with local heroes, Garrett Adams being one of them. I believe in his second season as a senior driver, knows the racetrack like the back of his hand, quickest in qualifying, was able to win in the pre-final, but it ended up him getting shuffled back in the main event as Arias Zumegian was able to knife his way forward in the race. I believe this is probably his third season second season, I believe, in the senior category. So again, another young gun showing the way. Dukmejian and the Kart Republic was just super quick in the main event, was able to negotiate what was really a solid lead group that included Alex Bertignoli really pacing the field for much of the race. Dukmejian sat there, bought his time. You could see he was one of the quickest drivers on the racetrack, and then really only led the last lap to edge out the field at the line, winning by 27 thousandths of a second. Hayden Jones, another senior rookie, was able to slip by Bertignoli for the second spot. Bryson Morris, another senior rookie, ended up in fourth, with Brandon Lemke coming home in fifth.
On the Merlin for Lemke, what about Hard Charger for that one? Again, big field. 50 carts. Who came from the back?
24 spots was the gain by Nicholas Terlecki aboard the Merlin, going from 45th all the way up to 21st. So 16 laps. That's a lot of passing.
David, in race one, you talked about the fact that Alex Bertignoli, kind of set the pace and led the majority of the event, only to lose to Dukmejian in the final circuit. But he came back on Sunday and qualified on the pole as well. Seems like they've got their stuff dialed in for sure. Yeah,
Bertignoli really had the setup really solid for the K. He couldn't translate it into the X30 Pro category. He actually flipped in the pre-final in X30 on Sunday. And so thus they kind of parked it for the main event when the rains came as well too. So it was kind of interesting because we saw obviously the willpower karts very similar. We saw them really quick in the X30 Pro category, but what they weren't able to translate that into speed in the Kart Republic kart in the X30 Pro category. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But Bertignolli was certainly quick all weekend long in the KA 100 senior category. The inaugural champion back in 2017 was able to set the fast time in qualifying, but it was ended up being Bryson Morris who stole the pre-final win, thus setting up a pretty good battle between the two in the main event. But joining the battle was Luke Selikin. The top two of Morris and Bertignolli kind of got away, but Selikin, who I talked to him on Saturday a little bit. He said, "I'm coming on Sunday." He said, "I'm coming," because I was asking, "Where are you at, man?" Because we saw him really successful during the winter months in the 100 categories, both on the West Coast and I believe a little bit here on the East. He said, "I'm coming," and he was coming. He was able to reel in the top two drivers in that main event, and then just shuffling for the victory. Morris ended up coming across the line, beating Selikin out in the drag race to the line by 27 thousandths of a second, with Bertignolli just sitting there in third.
Yeah, Matthew Mockabee finishing in the fourth position. Hayden Jones rounding out the top five, always keeping things tight in the points when drivers are able to do well in both races. Hayden Jones, of course, on the podium, P2 in the opening race, and backs it up with a top five finish in race number 2. Hard Charger, David, big run from deep in the field, 43rd to 17th.
Yeah, PJ Lida aboard the Esprit jumped up 26 spots, as you said, from 43rd to 17th. So again, just that's a great thing because USPKS has now moved over to the Race Hero app, so we're able to kind of use their functions and different perks to be able to notice, the notes to be able to find who the hard charger is. So it's worth noting, who some of the drivers who struggled in either the heat races or pre-finals to have some success in the main events.
Hard Chargers, it's great to get, but it's not great to get because it means you had to start deep in the field to be able to move forward. But it does give you an opportunity to get a little more promotion, a little more exposure here on the debrief. Again, this is episode 65 of the debrief. David Cole giving us his insight, the report from the USPKS opener at Newcastle last weekend. David, let's go to KA 100 Junior. The headline, 2 drivers dominate to split victories.
Well, we thought it was going to be just one driver because the Saturday race actually ended after the checkered flag. So, but Mateo Rubio Luengo really seemed to have everybody kind of covered when the main events came around. It was a little different in qualifying and the pre-finals. On Saturday, Weston Workman was able to secure fast time in qualifying aboard his comp cart, and then Logan Adams winning the pre-final. But once the main event rolled around, Mateo Rubio Luengo was able to just kind of walk away from the entire field. Started 7th, so he kind of worked his way up through the field and was able to get up to the lead, and then fighting behind him in 2nd, and then just quick speed by Mateo was able to pull out to a really sizable lead and advantage at the checkered flag. Unfortunately, his drive from 7th up to the front involved some pushback bumper issues, and thus taking away the victory from him. So essentially, the fight for 2nd that came down to the wire was the fight for the win. We didn't know it until obviously afterwards, but Logan Adams was able to beat out everybody to the checkered flag for the position. Weston Workman ended up finishing 2nd with Connor Zillage in 3rd. John Burke 4th, and then Mateo Rubio Luengo ended up getting pushed back to the 5th position.
How about the hard charger for this race?
Yeah, John Burke. We'll talk a little bit about him on Sunday, but was one of the quickest drivers on Saturday as well, moving up 13 spots. Started 17th, got up to again the 4th position aboard his Tony kart.
Moving to Sunday, David, it would be hard to argue that Connor Zillage, not one of the top 5 junior drivers in the country right now, he got things underway pretty nicely with a top run in qualifying. Yeah,
was able to come out top run in qualifying. We thought we were for sure going to see him battle for victory in the KA junior category as well, winning both races in the X30 Junior, but just was not able to translate it. Had some issues actually Sunday in the main event with the carburetor, so it kind of fell back to almost, I want to say, 10th at one point in the final. So, but pre-final win actually went to Logan Adams, and then transition over to the main event. Again, Mateo Rubio Luengo just had the outright speed in the main event. He actually hooked up with his Super Tune teammate, John Burke. They were able to drive away from the field. Junior rookie Cameron Weinberg actually had a little bit of a draft with them for a little bit, was able to hold on, but lost the draft there at the end of the race. So Mateo and Burke were able to cross the line 1-2. Unfortunately, John Burke was removed in the tech barn for a header issue, thus moving the fight for what was third up to second, with Brent Cruz able to score the position along with Kart Sport North America teammate Christian Miles, another junior rookie. Cameron Weinberg was actually crossed the line third. Sorry, excuse me. He crossed the line third, but was penalized 2 spots for a bumper penalty. So it was actually the fight for third ended up being the fight for second. And then Cameron Weinberg was pushed back to the 4th position, with Connor Zillage able to get back up into the 5th spot after trouble with his carburetor early on.
Yeah, a lot of shuffling in that podium based on what happened when they came across the scales with the pushback, with the issue in tech. A lot of changes there. Funny, we talked about the fact you don't always want to be the hard charger, but if you get into the top 5 and you're the hard charger, that's a pretty solid day, and that actually happened for Brent Cruz.
Yeah, Brent Cruz actually had a little bit of a struggle throughout the weekend, especially in the pre-finals. I believe both pre-finals on Saturday got involved in contact and spun. I believe he did also in the KA100 junior pre-final, thus starting back in the 15th position, was able to work his way up into the 2nd spot. So Cruz was actually doing triple duty because he ran both junior categories at Newcastle, and then he went and did his micro sprint at an oval track about an hour north of Newcastle.
On Saturday night?
Not only Saturday, but it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Dude, that is awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm assuming he had very little sleep on the weekend, but he had a couple of again, like I said, the issues in the pre-finals on Saturday are really what cost him in the end results, and very uncharacteristic couple moves by him to spin out, but came back Sunday, was able to get that podium finish. So again, just uncharacteristic, but ended the weekend well.
Let's move to the X30 Masters category. The headline: Cop Masters dry and wet for 2 wins. Oh, David, well played. Well played, sir. Well played. Cop Masters dry and wet for 2 wins.
He did. It was a pretty solid performance. He was able to get his first victory last season, and going into the weekend, we knew with the top 3 drivers returning, other former series champions coming in the field, it was going to be a tight battle up front. And it really was all weekend long. Scott Roberts, last year's series runner-up, was able to set the tone on Saturday, setting fast time in qualifying, winning the pre-final pretty good. And then in the final, it was a 3-driver battle. He had Roberts, Kopp, and last year's champion David Galawina. Those 3 drivers basically checked out from the rest of the field. But it looked like Kopp and David had the pace to get by Roberts. But Roberts made his 55-inch kart about 60 inches wide. So every time Kopp tried to make a move, Roberts shut the door. And it was finally on the last lap that Kopp was able to slip by in the green corner. Galawina was able to put the pressure on Roberts, and thus Kopp was able to kind of drive away to the checkered flag unchallenged, thus earning his 2nd series victory. Roberts ended up holding off Galawina for 2nd, but Galawina was penalized 2 spots for a bumper penalty, thus dropping him off the podium, moving Rob Mayer, who joined the Rollerson Performance Group team this weekend. He ended up finishing 3rd with former series champion Christian Vomier in the Techno in 4th.
How about Hard Charger, who came from the back in that 19 kart field?
Hard Charger went to Scott Carapoletti aboard his Tony kart, moving up 10 spots, 18th to 10th. Oh, sorry, that should be 8 spots, 18th to 10th.
Let's take the opportunity to give a little shout out to the Carpolettis. Of course, they lost their father Ron in the offseason. One of those legendary guys in the sport, right? Been around forever. That dad you always saw. Of course, the Carpolettis have been doing this for countless years, and great to see Scott work his way into the top 10. But again, let's just give a little tribute to Ron and his passing during the offseason. David, let's go to Sunday right now. The interesting thing, of course, I was busy all weekend long, but I'm always following you on social media, right? Obviously you're posting to Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. I was pretty much watching Facebook. It was interesting Saturday, right? Oh, Roberts with the qualifying on pole. Oh, Roberts winning the pre-final. I'm like, Roberts is looking good here. Scott Kopp gets the win. Fast forward to Sunday. Galawina qualifies pole. Galawina, pre-final. Scott Kopp comes and gets another win. It was interesting to me to watch kind of what was going on through social media.
Yeah, really, Sunday was all about the weather because Galawina had the pace and was really checking out from the field, checked out from the field in the pre-final. And again, had a great start, was checking out in the main event until the rain came. And this is the only, I think this is the only bad part that USPKS did all weekend long. They threw a red flag when it started to rain because carts were spinning off track. How many times have we said over and over again, let them race, especially the X30 Masters guys, because it was not unsafe yet because it rained again. It was very similar to the X30 junior category, but it was a lot harder of a rain. So it came down, and then as soon as they were through the red flag, guess what happened?
Tell me, Dave.
It stopped raining because then the track basically was dried out. They could have got their main event in. Yeah, the carts were off track, but they're Masters drivers. They can push them back, get them back on the racetrack, drive again.
We have talked about this many times, David. Come on, you know what? If it's raining until it is like unbelievably hard to drive, let them figure it out. It's the same for everybody. Hey, you know what you do? You know what? How to not drive off in the rain? Slow down.
Slow down.
Right? And if you spin out, it's your fault. No, we're on the same page. We've been talking about this since the incident.
2007.
The incident at Centennial in Colorado.
Yes. And I brought it up to a number of people after that.
I'm glad you did. I'm not surprised that you did.
And even Alex Speed, I don't think he was in Colorado that weekend. I said, yeah, the Marshall Martin.
The Marshall.
He's like, what?
Yep. We love Marshall. We love you.
I love Marshall.
We love you.
We all make mistakes. I mean, you've made plenty of mistakes. I've made.
I hired you 16 years ago. I've been lamenting the fact ever since.
I mean, you look at my Brickyard performance. Every lap was a mistake.
Wow. Yeah,
anyway,
we'll see what happens this year, Dave. But yeah, let's go. So let's go back. Let's wrap this thing up.
Anyway, so they throw the red flag. They give everybody 15 minutes to do the changeover. Well, during that 15 minutes, a new cell came in, and it just laid a lot of rain down, and it was a downpour. So everybody moved over to rain tires, jumped out there, and again, so Galawina had a solid lead early on in the final. After 2 laps before they red flagged it, rain come. Scott Kopp was able to kind of take advantage when the restart, jump out to the lead, and even though they were nose to tail, nothing ever was changed, and Kopp was able to come across with the victory, thus scoring a win in the dry and a win in the wet. Galawina finished up second. Danny Robertson, another driver who moved over to the Rollison Performance Group, they actually got to drive with Rollison on Friday. This is an interesting story. Scott Falcone was scheduled to race, didn't show up. Mike Rollison decided to jump in the cart because the entry was already paid for and get more seat time with his new Masters driver. So we saw a lot of lead follow between those 3 drivers throughout Friday. So, because I saw Rollison with a suit on, I'm like, you're going to race? And he's like, no.
I'm just using the entry. Good
yep. So he actually had never driven the racetrack. He'd broken a couple of engines in previously before, but he's never driven Newcastle Motorsports Park. So it was good to see him out there. And again, he probably would have been one of the quickest drivers all weekend.
Oh, no doubt.
Had he raced.
No doubt.
But Danny Robertson ended up third on the podium. I have a great photo of him that we'll share on social media later. Laurentiu Mardan, former series champion, finished 4th, and then Alex Mueller in the comp cart for 5th.
Yeah, a couple of techno top 5. Christian Vermeer, of course, in final number 1, as you said. Larry Mardan in final number 2. Hard charger, David?
Hard Charger went to Jake Fetter. I heard he's a returning driver, hasn't raced in like 15 years, decided to come back to the sport. So he was with the Franklin kart operation aboard the Merlin all weekend long, ended up moving up 9 spots, 17th to 8th. And going back to the main event, it was actually called a red flag or checkered early due to lightning in the area. So they were only able to get 10 laps in.
It doesn't matter what happens in terms of shutting the race down. The results will say Scott Kopp with a couple of wins the next 30 Masters. All right, folks, let's head to another break here. When we come back to the Race Report brought to you by Atlanta Motorsports Park, David will cap things off with his report on Mini Swift and Micro Swift. At Solo Kart USA, designing and manufacturing the most driver-friendly karts has been our goal from the very beginning. Design, build, test, and then race. Over and over and over. Until it's perfect. The result is a kart that gives you complete confidence, knowing that the equipment can get the job done, and you can focus on what separates every field in karting. Driver talent. How do you know how to tune your team's chassis if you're not driving it yourself? At Solo Kart USA, we drive our own karts and we race regularly. Solo Kart is our program, and we race what we sell. Every lap we turn, at tracks all over the country, provides information and feedback that we use in further developing our chassis. After 4 years of dedicated testing and competition, our Solo Kart USA program is exactly where we want it. It's ready for you. Louis Westover put our Solo Kart SK2 on the X30 Senior Podium at the opening round of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series in January, topping 50 other drivers. And our own Adam Pettit followed suit with a second-place finish in X30 Master. Check out www.solokartusa.com to learn more and break away from the pack. If the dream is IndyCar, set your target on the road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Our ladder system is designed to take drivers through 3 rungs of competition. The first step is the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship, which features a carbon tub Tatis chassis, 180 horsepower, and a paddle-shift sequential gearbox. Boost the USF 2000's output to 280 horsepower for the Indy Pro 2000 program, the second rung on the road to Indy. Add in increased grip and aero downforce, and the Tatis PM18 becomes an incredible training machine. The final step before IndyCar is the Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. The Dallara IL-15 boasts a whopping 450 horsepower. This car itself has helped train a third of the grid expected for the 2020 IndyCar Series. At all 3 levels, you race at premier venues on the same dance card as IndyCar. Showcase your skills under the watchful eyes of IndyCar scouts and owners. Former karters fill the roster of Road to Indy graduates in IndyCar, like Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Connor Daly, Zach Veach, Jack Harvey, Felix Rosenquist, Colton Herta, Charlie Kimball, Renus VK, and 2019 Indy Lights champion Oliver Askew. Racing karting graduates like Kyle Kirkwood and Braden Eves are in the middle of their journeys right now as well. Follow in their footsteps. If you want to race IndyCar, there is only one choice: the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network, episode number 65, Wednesday, July the 22nd, just a couple of days from the USPKS opener that was held this past weekend at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Again, the race report, we're going to wrap it up here. It's brought to you today by the Atlanta Motorsports Park. David, let's jump in to the Mini Swift. The headline: First Series victories for Orjuela and Shipman.
Yeah, Orjuela had a great weekend, was really quick out of the gate, set up fast time in qualifying, and was one of the contenders all day long. Cameron Brinkman, who won both Route 66 Sprint Series races back in a couple weeks ago, 4th of July weekend, was able to win the pre-final. Essentially, the race ended up being a 3-driver breakaway between Max Garcia, Brinkman, and Ben Mayer. Were able to get away with Orjuela. Trail was part of the pack and then kind of lost the draft a little bit. So was sitting there in 4th, kind of watching everything unfold, and was in the right place at the right time, because on the final circuit, essentially Brinkman was in the 3rd spot and performed a great over-under in the I-70 corner And then as they came out of the exit, everybody kind of went for the same piece of real estate, and contact ensued. All three drivers up in the air, spinning around, shuffling all over the place. And Orjuela just kind of knifed his way through all of it and was able to come out as the leader and the winner at the checkered flag for his first series victory. Helio Meza came through in the second position with Parker DeLong in third. Cooper Shipman up to fourth, and then Spencer Conrad finishing fifth. Both Garcia, Mayer, and Brinkman were all able to get going again, but all finished outside the top 10.
A total of 31 drivers in the mini Swift category. Hard charger Shipman, Cooper Shipman, coming from deep in the field, 20 spots, 24th to 4th. That's a successful recovery.
Yeah, had an issue in the pre-final and was a DNF, thus having to knife his way forward. And as we'll see on Sunday, ended up being one of the quickest drivers again, and used it to earn a victory on Sunday. The day began with Salim Hanna earning fast time in qualifying, with Max Garcia winning the pre-final. The race essentially was almost maybe 6-7 drivers in the lead pack.
I like
Shipman
that.
being one of them towards the middle part of the group, just slowly inched his way forward, position by position by position, coming from outside the top 5, earning his night, just setting up everybody pretty perfectly. Just, nothing, no contact, just getting a pass done here, getting a pass done there.
Methodical, right?
Yep.
Methodical.
And really, and didn't lead until the final circuit, was able to beat everybody to the checkered flag by 63 thousandths of a second. Mateus Orjuela ended up finishing second, with Max Garcia in third. Cameron Brinkman ended up fourth, with Parker DeLong in the 5th spot.
Now, hard charger Christian Chiano on the Paralyn, starting dead last, David. 19 position improvement up to 12th.
Yeah, the Paralyns were really quick with these two drivers all weekend long, because Christian was right there a little bit for most of the day, at least in the top 10. Had an issue, obviously, in the pre-final on Sunday, allowed him to drive his way forward in the main event to almost get into the top 10.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to Microswift. I'm reading your headline here. I got to give you the headline. Can you call a Microswift kid a stud? I think.
Well, no, but it looked, the title looked good when I wrote it.
Lone Star Stud claims 2 wins. I'm not sure.
I will say, when the Micro Swift was on the podium, somebody was walking by and was like, "That's a good looking podium right there." So that's kind of where it came about.
All right.
Now, mind you, yes, when you say stud, yeah, I don't know.
I love it. That's good, dude. Let's talk.
It kind of went with Lone Star, didn't it? I mean, what are you going to put in
works. There? It works. Lone Star Cowboy, Lone Star, I don't know, whatever. Dude, that's funny. That's awesome. But Lone Star.
I could have said, here's a new one. Jack Iliff, Texas 2 steps to 2 victories.
Oh.
There we go.
Nicely. Texas 2 steps to 2 victories. I like that one too. Well done.
It just comes to me. I don't know.
You're the magic man. All right. So Jack Iliff on the pole position, David, to start the day on Saturday.
Essentially, 2 drivers were the stars in this category, and then we had a third come in towards the end of the weekend. Jack Iliff, as you said, scored fast time in qualifying. Carson Weinberg, though, was also the quickest. Obviously, these two have the most experience in the field, and Weinberg able to win the pre-final. Essentially, Iliff was his wingman throughout the main event, never left Weinberg's bumper until the last lap, and then the two battled for the victory, and then Iliff was able to edge Weinberg out at the checkered flag by 53 thousandths of a second for the victory. The stellar performance was Vivek Kanthan, a new driver to the Mike Doty Racing tent, new driver to the USPKS. Obviously, a lot of these Micro Swift drivers are new drivers. He was able to finish third in his first start at the series, land on the podium. Asher Oshtein in the Bannock finishing fourth, with Isaac Malkut in the Kart Republic in fifth.
Captain Sizzle.
What's
his father is Mark Malkut.
Yeah.
No, his grandfather is Mark Malkut. His dad's Marcus.
Yep.
Legendary name in stock car racing.
That's right.
That's it. Isaac's, and you know what? cool to see Isaac dialing things in. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's Isaac or Asher or Vivek or Cameron or Jack. We always love seeing the young kids as they start to get it. You know what I mean, Dave? They start dialing things in. There's not year on year. They're not as intimidated. The next year they come back for the second year on the national scene. You just see them start stepping up. So good to see Isaac in the top 5.
Really, the micro Swift category all weekend long was pretty stellar. No major issues with starts or getting off track. Everybody was pretty well behaved throughout the weekend.
How many times do we see that, Dave? It's an absolute, S show in some of the other categories, but Micro Swift gives us this amazing race, right? Great racecraft. We're talking about Jack staying right behind Carson Weinberg till the end. Showing that racecraft and being able to have the strategy. They're the ones that don't put on the mess, the chaos in the other categories. But we see really good races out of the micros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
right?
Yeah. And again, they stayed out of trouble. No major wrecks. No, a couple, maybe 1 or 2 spins here or there. That was about it.
Yep. What about Hard Charger?
Hard Charger went to Colin Kiefer and the Nitro, 4 spots, 15th to 11th. Again, not too big of a field, so not a lot of spots to be the Hard Charger.
Yeah, 18 drivers in the field. We'll talk more about it in the next one. A driver coming deep from the back to get up to the top 5, actually onto the podium. David Weinberg coming back. Carson Weinberg on the Nitro coming back on Sunday, getting the day off to a good start with a pole position run.
Got a great start off to the day. Unfortunately, changed engines after qualifying. So his performance in qualifying resulted in a engine change, put him to the back of the pre-final. Well, at the start of the pre-final, a little bit of shuffling around, and he was one of the drivers who spun and thus, was trailing the field as they drove away. He might have got a couple spots towards the end of the pre-final, but again, started deep in the field actually finished 11th in the pre-final. So still started further back once the main event got going. But the pre-final win actually went to Vivek Kanthan, who we talked about earlier, was able to beat out Ilif at the line for the race win. So thus Kanthan started the main event on the pole position. Now, mind you, Micro Swift was second to last in the order. So guess what they raced on?
Yeah. A little wet.
A little wet. They were the first ones after the lightning delay to get back out onto the racetrack. And so Kanthan was the driver leading him to the green flag. I asked Mike Doty as the race started, how much rain racing does he have? Oh, he's got a few races under his belt, but his dad's been bugging me to do a lot of rain testing. Well, I think Dad is right in that, as Kanthan went off at the I-70 corner on the opening lap and ended his race off the track. So I'm not quite sure what happened. It could have been contact. I'm not quite sure, but I think Mike Doty owes his driver a few rain lessons in the coming days.
How'd the main event go? I know that Jack Ilif getting the win. So
with Kanthan off the racetrack, Ilif was able to set it on cruise control in the rain and drove away to a blistering 20-second advantage in just 12 laps.
David, did he Texas two-step his way to the front?
He Texas two-stepped his way all the way around the racetrack for the 12 laps. Essentially, he was dancing his way. Tim Coyan kept mentioning, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's just pulling away from the field with every corner he makes. So with it being a wet racetrack, it obviously shuffles up the field. Some drivers good in the rain, some drivers still learning. As you mentioned, we had a great Hard Charger coming up, 15 spots from 17th to 2nd. Caleb Tarter aboard the Nitro cart, working his way up into the second spot on the podium. Jace Petty, another Newcastle Motorsports Park local, he ended up finishing in third. Oshtein. There you go. I don't know why I want to put an A in there.
Well, I'm not even sure I'm not sure if that's right, but it seems like Asher Osteen.
Osteen ended up finishing fourth again, with Cade Yeager finishing fifth.
All right, there you go, folks. There's your wrap up right now. Again, Hard Charger, as David said, Caleb Tarter back in the field up to second, but great weekend, of course, all told for Jack Ilif. One more break in the action here, folks. When we get back, David's going to wrap things up. We'll look at the Constructors' Championship, let you know which chassis were able to find success at Newcastle Motorsports Park for the opening round of the USPKS, and we'll cap things off and look at our EKN Trackside Live race calendar, because, folks, we are back at it. We're hitting races. I got 12 in a row coming. They're not all karting events. Obviously, a couple of karting events and a lot of Road to Indy and IndyCar, but we'll talk about that when we get back after this break.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kart Sport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF bearings, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kart Sport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Karts, parts, engines, tires, and tools. At sharkshifter.com, what you need is just a click away. We carry the biggest names in chassis, like Tony Kart and FA, DR Kart, CRG, and VLR. We have new chassis and all the parts you need. At sharkshifter.com, we also stock top quality replacement parts from Swift Components, like axles, sprockets, and hubs. We have the inventory you need for your stock Honda as well, from cylinders, heads, and engine parts to reeds, exhaust pipes, ignition covers, radiators, air filters, and air boxes. We build our own billet aluminum components as well, including motor mounts and clutch levers. Need to add to your toolbox? We offer alignment tools, brake, battery, and exhaust tools, tire gauges, and hand tools. Stop messing around getting your seat in the right position. We have a seat mounting system that makes it easy. Check the website for monthly specials. If you need it, we can get it to you fast. We ship the same day. Sharkshifter.com, your online source for karts and parts. Welcome back to episode 65 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole giving us a full rundown of the opening round of the US PKS Series, which was at Newcastle Motorsports Park last week. David, let's wrap things up here right now. Give us your kind of thoughts, your final thoughts, then we'll talk Constructors Championship.
Yeah, final thoughts. Record event to begin the season. Obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it was a little weird starting the event starting the series in July. Rather than starting it back in March when we were supposed to. This would be typically the series finale. So it's going to be an interesting season as we move along in the US PKS. But it was great to get it started off with a record event again at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Everybody loves going there, and the staff there did an excellent job welcoming everybody in. The USPKS staff and competitors did a great job keeping on schedule. We were never off schedule throughout Saturday, and then we weren't off schedule on Sunday until the rains came and the lightning came. So everybody did a great job there, and just glad we were able to get the racing in because with the lightning in the area, it was a worry of how long is it going to stay, and thankfully everybody was patient enough to hold up and wait for the final two races to be done.
Dave, 7 different chassis getting race wins. Of course, one of the cool things about the USPKS, just the 7 categories, right? So very tight schedule, tight class structure. 7 chassis all getting race wins.
Yeah, not bad turnaround for having 14 essentially main events on the weekend. Tony Kart winning 4 of those. Willpower Kart, as we talked about, earning both Xfinity Pro victories. Cosmic winning 2 races. Red Speed winning 2 as well. Esprit winning 2. Kart Republic 1. And Parolin 1.
All right, folks, let's jump in now to the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. Today brought to you by the Rawlson Performance Group. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins on the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, Rawlson Performance Group needs to be your next move. All right, David, EKN Trackside Live race calendar. On the couch you were for 4 months, as was I. You got a chance to go to the USPKS. Our next Trackside Live coverage is going to be a little bit different. We'll see how that all plays out. But really our first one coming back here, you and I together, it's going to be the USAC Karting Battle at the Brickyard. We're going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Speedway, Indiana, July the 31st to August the 2nd. Not only are we covering the race, we're driving as well. Awesome.
Yeah, it's not your typical trackside live coverage. And then with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're going to do limited social media because we're trying to respect the USAC Karting's no social media. But obviously, we're in the media, so we want to at least show what's going on. So we're still working out details on how we're going to do that. And
we're doing, and David, we're doing that in cooperation with everybody at USAC.
Yes.
We've talked to Mike Burrell. They've talked and they've asked for a social media blackout because we want to make sure that we take care of the sport. We want to make sure we take care of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But we will have coverage from what we're doing there, giving you kind of a little taste of what's happening trackside.
Yeah, and there'll be live timing from the event, so everybody will be able to tune on that. And we'll have a full race report following the weekend. We'll have our on-track articles as well, too, talking about the Comet Kart Sales, Comet Eagle. You'll be driving the Margay Ignite as well. So kind of a repeat of last year a little bit. I'm going to be adding the Yamaha Masters aboard my Luminos.
The Yamaha Monster.
I need to get out in the garage and finish that thing first. But it's essentially the engine's on the cart. I just need to hook everything up to it. So,
attaboy. From there, a couple of weeks later, essentially, you're going back to your home, your second home. That's Newcastle Motorsports Park. We have an Airbnb booked for a couple of weeks because we've got back-to-back Superkarts USA Pro Tour races. Again, SCUSA obviously the Winter Nationals back in March was canceled. They weren't able to run the Spring Nationals in May. We were supposed to be in Utah. Everything jamming in, 2 triple header weekends. I think they're calling it the Festival of Speed. Is that the line they're using for it, I believe?
We're still waiting on an official word, but
yeah, lots of stuff going on. Back-to-back weekends at Newcastle Motorsports Park, August 6 to 9, August 13 to 16. I actually won't be there for the first weekend because obviously with the COVID-19 jam schedule, I'm just about 3 hours away at Mid-Ohio for the Road to Indy and IndyCar weekend. Xander Clements will be on the mic for that one. I'll, of course, arrive. I know they got some stuff going on midweek as well, so look for our social media to be ramping up midweek as well for that one. Plus, I'll be on the mic for the second round. It's actually the first ever Pro Tour race that I will miss. I actually missed the Winter Nats because I was at St. Petersburg, but that didn't happen, so I really didn't miss it.
Yeah, you do have that, but now you will be missing one for sure.
Dude, it's gutting me. It is gutting me.
I've only missed one as well up to this point. Carlos Calderon actually just shared a video from 2010 when everybody was in Shawano, Wisconsin for the first ever Summer Nationals up there. I was in Newcastle Motorsports Park for the Road Tax Grand Nationals. So I missed that one and haven't missed one yet, and hopefully we'll never miss one.
A little quick one. I think the only one of the other guys that's been at every one of them has been Aaron Likens. But Aaron, of course, the national flagman, the starter for Superkarts USA. And we'll give a little shout out here right now. I've been giving a lot of them out, and we'll keep doing it. Aaron's going to miss the first weekend of Newcastle as well, the SCUSA Pro Tour, because he is now an IndyCar flagman. He's doing the entire Road to Indy on the stand. He's the chief starter for the Road to Indy, but he actually, I think in Iowa in the second race, got to throw the double checker. He's kind of the third guy on the stand for IndyCar and the IndyCar races with us as a primary guy for Road to Indy. But man, kudos to Aaron Likens. The big show, IndyCar throwing his double checker. We all love Aaron, and I just want to give a shout out to him. That's awesome, I think.
I bet he'd much prefer to do it track, like on the racetrack, old school way, right? Like he does with karting,
Oh, that's what we need. And he'd do it too.
Oh, for sure he would do it. I mean, it's not safe, but he'd do it.
He'd do it. I want to see him do a restart on the track where he's kind of standing on the restart, right? All right, listen. Back-to-back weekends, SCUSA Pro Tour are going to be a lot of fun. 6 races in the span of 8 days, probably, right? No, 10 days. The Friday to the. Well, it's going to be amazing. cap off this edition of the Trackside Live Race Calendar, give you an update a little further down the line, over a month away. But David, September 4th to 6th, Labor Day weekend, you'll be at C-Tech Manufacturing Motorplex at Road America up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, for the Badger State Grand Prix, the USPKS getting back racing again.
Yeah, there'll be rounds 3 and 4, and those will be really crucial to the 2020 championship chase in all 7 categories. So the program is on hiatus until the Labor Day weekend, which I think it should pull in a pretty good amount of numbers, being it's a holiday weekend. A lot of people like to go away. What better place to go than Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin? I mean, come on.
Man, do it. Go to the Brown Bear for wings. Go to Seedkins. Have a 1,000 brats. Enjoy yourself at Road America, man. It's a fantastic track, totally repaved. Had a chance to go check it out a little bit when I was there for the IndyCar a weekend. I wish I could be up there with you guys, but of course I'll be at the IndyCar. Road to Indies has a one-off on I think the Thursday and Friday before Road America, before that weekend, so it kind of messes me up. But you'll have fun up there for sure. It'll be a good one. But David, there it is. We're done. I would say first debrief of the year, not quite, but first debrief in 4 months, that's for sure.
First COVID-19 debrief, yes.
Mid COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
Let's not say that.
All right,
folks.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
A big thank you to Acceleration Kart Racing for being our presenting sponsor here today. And, of course, the other sponsors we had to the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, as well as Atlanta Motorsports Park and Rawlson Performance Group. Big supporters of what we do at ekartingnews.com. Thank you so much. Those of you tuning in, if you've not yet picked up your hashtag support karting t-shirt, they're still on sale at Style Aesthetic. You can go to ekartingnews.com/store. Hook yourself up with the, we'll get some more prizes out too. I was going to do that, but I haven't yet. Let's get some more sales. Let's get those sold out. I want to make sure we get those all sold out, and then we'll be able to give a couple more prizes out for some people. But otherwise, David, we're done, man. The next one, we're going racing 2 weeks away. We're going to Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
IMS, baby.
I'm pumped. I'm super pumped. Get the lap in. Super pumped to be back with the guys from Margay Ignite and to drive that Comet Eagle again. Man, I love that go-kart. It is fun to drive.
It's like a rocket ship.
It just feels so comfortable. I love it. All right, folks, we're done. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, lots more podcasts to come. We'll get another This Week in Karting coming up soon. We're going to line up a couple of guys for a face-to-face. I have a couple of Book It podcasts already lined up as well. We're actually going to get those rolling. I'm not sure if they'll be on podcast, not sure if they'll be one of our face-to-face shows on Facebook, but whatever it may be, we do thank you for tuning into the EKN Radio Network. As always, any of our podcasts always available on the EKN Radio Network first. Download the app if you haven't already done so. All of our face-to-face shows, the Facebook Live shows, ended up getting put on YouTube as well. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, comment, like, everything, subscribe to it. And then, of course, those also go on Podbean, which then transitions to Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. Lots of places to download our content. On behalf of David Cole, folks, my name's Rob Howden. Thank you so much for being with us here for this edition of the EKN Debrief. Bye for now.